Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla and for today's video I'm giving y'all an update for my finances for May 2024. May was a pretty big month for me. I did work a couple of days, 3 days in May at my previous full-time job, and then I became self-employed. So not quite a full month, but almost of self-employment. Going into the month, I knew that my business income was going to be a little bit lower than what I've been used to for the last few months because May is always a lower income month for some reason. I also spent quite a bit more than I was expecting to, so you'll see all my numbers in just a moment. But the good news is I still saw a tiny little increase in my overall net worth, which y'all know is one of my goals now that I'm self-employed, so I'm happy to see that. Before we get to my spreadsheets, I do want to announce the winner of my $1,000 giveaway. Almost 300 people entered the giveaway, so thank y'all so much for entering. It's always really hard to choose somebody. It takes me quite a bit of time. I literally narrow it down, and then from there I have to narrow it down further, obviously. And one day I do hope I can give away more, but for now I have selected one winner. So the winner of the $1,000 is Jennifer H, and she lives in Missouri. And I actually have already emailed her twice. So I'm filming this on a Wednesday and I emailed her yesterday and then again this morning, and I haven't received a response. So I need a way to pay her, of course, and I don't have that information. Hopefully she gets back to me. I don't know if my email is going to spam. That's why I sent it 2 days in a row. If you're Jennifer H and in Missouri and you're watching this and you're like, oh my goodness, I had no clue, then check your email, check your spam, because I have reached out and I want to get you your $1,000. If I don't hear back in a couple of weeks, I will have to pick somebody else. I've already decided who that person would be if I don't hear back, but obviously we will wait to see if she responds. As far as that goes, I'll keep y'all posted in my Transfer Tuesday videos. Hopefully by the next Transfer Tuesday, I will have already paid her the $1,000 and I'll let y'all know. But again, thank y'all so much for entering, and I will have another giveaway later this year. That will be around November, and then I will do this 2 times a year moving forward. All right, so let's talk about May. I did set a financial goal for the month, but really that was me kind of just throwing it out there, knowing that I was going to be leaving my full-time job. So I set a goal of putting at least $2,000 to my emergency fund, but I knew that wasn't going to be possible because I was leaving my job, wouldn't be getting my full paychecks, and yeah, so I did not hit that goal. I was able to save a little bit to my emergency fund, and then I was able to save to some of my sinking funds. I even invested a little bit, but I did not get anywhere near $2,000 put toward my emergency fund, and that is completely okay. So let's go ahead and hop to my spreadsheets, and you can see all of my spending, my savings, my investments, net worth, and more. All right, so for the business side of things, from my business, the gross revenue that I earned was $2,419.66. And then I did have some rollover business revenue, and this is money that was left in my business checking account from April. And that was $1,247.11. So as you can see, business revenue was pretty low. Every month I also upload an income report video that will be up later this weekend, and I will break down all of my earnings that are what makes up this $2,419. And I also go through my extra income and business expenses. I did pull some money from my business sinking fund. For May, that was $500, and I will explain where that comes in. So altogether, for the business side of things, I was working with a little bit over $4,100. Payroll, I budget $2,000. That is $2,000. That's what I pay myself. Payroll taxes, $219 is correct. For distribution, I did budget $1,500, and a distribution is just transfer. Instead of being on payroll, it's just transferring money from my business checking account to my main personal checking account. And yeah, I budgeted $1,500, but ended up doing $0 because I wouldn't have had enough money to do that. I didn't want to do any amount of money. Like I probably could have done $500, but it would have left me with too small of an amount just because I didn't have enough money coming in. And then for actual business expenses, I budgeted $250, but that was actually much more. That was $1,076.17, and this is where the business sinking fund comes in. I will give a breakdown of what I spent here in that video I was just talking about, but I will say the largest chunk of this was buying an iPad, and I turned in a MacBook. No, I turned in an iMac and replaced it with an iPad and I used $500 from my sinking fund. It actually didn't cost 500, did it? It was like 400 something. I pulled out a little bit more just so I could cover some of these other business expenses. But yeah, I'll break that down in my income report video. And then insurance, because now that I am self-employed, I have to pay for this on my own. That is $99.28. I added this in, obviously, after I made the budget. So this does include health insurance and dental insurance. I ended up paying more, though, $110.75. And this is because I paid for... And actually, now that I think about it, I initially paid for the $99.28 at the very end of April so that I would have coverage in May. But then, so I just put it here because I hadn't talked about it yet. And then an additional $11.47 for my dental insurance was the payment for dental insurance for June. As I said in my June budget video, I'm going to make a whole video talking about healthcare, but as I said in that video too, I went through healthcare.gov. I also took a tax credit and I just put the money aside for savings. It's a $346 per month tax credit, and I know that I will probably have to pay that back when I file my taxes, so I just have it in savings. One thing that's frustrating though about my insurance in May is that I didn't need to start this in May. When I was talking with HR at my previous full-time job, I had asked her, could you let me know when my insurance is going to end? And because my last day of work was May 3rd. So I was like, okay, it's going to end at the end of May. But in her email, she said to me, the last day is the end of April. It said April 30th. That was not correct. So I was like, oh shoot, I thought it was going to go to the end of May. I wasn't going to be like, are you sure? Or anything like that. I didn't ask her that. But in the email, it said at the end of the month, so April 30th. So I was like, shoot, I need to get the insurance. So I went ahead and paid for all of May. But that was not correct because then I had a call with HR. I did an exit interview and she was talking about the insurance and I was like, oh yeah, it ends at the end of April, right? And she's like, no, it's at the end of May. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you told me the end of April. But it's fine. 99 isn't anything crazy, but I was still a bit bummed to have to pay this when I didn't need to. So I had my employer's insurance through the end of May plus this extra insurance, but whatever. Moving on to business payroll, income, and actually spending my money. So as y'all saw, business payroll is always $2,000. Distribution, I took none. I did make some extra income, which was $852.51. And then I did pull from my sinking funds a bit. That was $1,297. And I will explain where that comes in as I go through my spending. First expense are taxes, and this is money that I set aside into savings for my quarterly estimated tax payments, but also what I pay on my paychecks from my business income for payroll. That came to $618.56. So I ended up, the reason, I don't know what happened, but I was putting the wrong number. Like I thought I was paying a little bit more on payroll taxes, but I'm not. So it's $184.28 each time that I get paid, and I get paid twice. And then I set aside $250 for savings. Donate, I budgeted $100 and I did donate $100. I added in my brokerage as a line item here because I didn't expect to be adding to my brokerage, so that's why that's nothing here. I did add $65, so that's exciting. House/utilities budgeted $1,109. That was actually $1,115, so a little bit higher than expected, but nothing crazy. Household, I budgeted $75. That was not too bad, $19.69. I don't remember what I purchased, but I need to make notes of it. It really doesn't matter, at least I was under budget. Next are groceries. I budgeted $400 and I stayed way under budget here. Look at that, $265.50. This was really because I was eating the same exact food every single day. And I've been eating very clean, so I'm vegan, but all whole food, vegan food. So this is just like tofu, rice, broccoli, fruits, it was just very basic foods, and that paid off. So I'm very proud of that number because I don't think I've been this low on groceries in months, potentially over a year. The other thing too, I started baking my own bread, which it saves a little bit each time that I do that. So yeah, doing pretty good there. For food out, I budgeted $75 and I only spent $33.10, and this was at the beginning of the month. So again, like I was saying, I've been eating a lot cleaner. I started a new workout program. I started that workout program the first full week of May. So any of this food out was the weekend before that. And then I think I reloaded my Starbucks card at one point. So that was like an extra 10. But yeah, under budget on both of those, which is great. Gas for my car, I budgeted $85. I went over here, so $92.90. I ended up getting gas 3 times because I was driving a lot more. Health and beauty, I budgeted $1,800. I was going into May expecting to pay $1,000 for laser treatment for my face. It's called Laser Genesis. It's supposed to help with rosacea and redness, which is something that I have. I also knew I had to pay for deductible, like medical bills, which ended up being actually $720. And then I knew I was getting a massage. I ended up spending close to that. So that was $1,814.54. And I did end up paying for the Laser Genesis. I went for 1 session, but I only paid for 1 session, which unfortunately was $400. The reason I planned for 1,000 is because you can pay for 3 treatments for 1,000 or pay for 1 for 400. So I just paid for 1 because when I went, the whole process was fine. It was a little bit painful. It was just like very hot. But when I don't know if I even want to talk about, when I opened my eyes, my vision was blurry. I did have eye protection on. They had like the, whatever they use. But that really scared me. Luckily my vision is back, but that made me realize like, hey, this is unnecessary. This is not worth it. I don't know what happened exactly, but that really scared me because my vision was blurry for like 45 minutes. I had to like stay in the office and yeah, so I decided I will not be doing that. And now the beauty sinking fund that I had where I saved over $3,000 is what I have for my tax credit savings. So I did pull 400 from, actually I think I pulled 600 from this account. Let me see. Yeah, I pulled 600 from the beauty sinking fund account to cover the laser treatment as well as everything else on here just to help with my spending for the month. But now that has 2,000 something and I'm just saving that for my taxes, the tax credit for next year. But yeah, outside of that, I ended up buying an LED mask it's like red light therapy, green light therapy, hopefully to help with the redness. And I've been using that 3 times a week. I bought some vitamins and supplements. I did buy 2 migraine caps. That's been helpful when I get headaches. I got a massage. I went to an ENT. I have this like issue with my ear. It ended up being a waste of time, but that was $20. I got some skincare, so just like cleanser and stuff. And then I paid for the procedure that I had in April, the colonoscopy. That was $720. Next up would be dogs. I budgeted $180. That is $180. Netflix is $23.48. Gym is usually $39.99, but then I was like, oh yeah, I have to pay for the annual fee. So that ended up being a total of $88.99 because the annual fee is $49. Personal, I budgeted $50, ended up spending a little bit more than that, $65.96. I bought a couple of stickers. There's this girl, I posted this on my TikTok, but there's this girl, Sierra, who she recently quit her job as well, and she's like, where is it? These 2 here. So it's Be Your Own Boss and 9 to Not For Me. There was another one too, like Work Your Wage, but I didn't put that on here. But I wanted to support her, plus I liked the idea of these stickers, so I bought those from her. She sells like drinking games on Etsy. You can like digital download them and get them printed out. I don't drink or anything, but the stickers were cute. I can put her Etsy in the description box. And then I also bought 5 books because I like books. Car insurance, I budgeted $700 and that ended up being $697, so $3 less, and that's where the other portion of my sinking funds came in. So I did take out $697 from my car insurance sinking fund. Now, initially they quoted me, I think it was $745, but I called them, this is with Progressive, I called them and asked if they could increase my deductible so I could save some money. So now my deductible is $2,000 with Progressive. It's frustrating. But luckily I did have enough to cover this, and now going forward I'm going to be putting $125 to my car insurance sinking fund, and hopefully that will cover my next 6-month premium. Gifts, I budgeted $50. That ended up being $50. My boyfriend and I split a cash graduation gift. Parking, I budgeted $10. This was to go and get the laser treatment. I was expecting $6, but because I was there for much longer than I needed to be, well, because of the whole vision situation, it was $18 for parking. This was like 3 hours. That's Atlanta for you, unfortunately. Yeah, so altogether, $5,247. And you can see that I definitely spent much more than I actually made. And this just took some moving money around, waiting to pay things at certain dates, and also using some of the income from what I made from my full-time job. So let's go to that. As I mentioned before, I worked 3 days in May. Because of that, I didn't have a full paycheck, but that was $801.82. This was more than I was expecting it to be. So I was like, okay, that was gross, obviously. From sinking funds, I took $107.99, and this was really just me moving money around. So I had some sinking funds or accounts with Marcus that I ended up closing. I still have Marcus, but I had like 12 sinking funds, and now I only have 8. So I'll talk about that in just a bit. But I moved $107 around with savings. So when I made this budget, I obviously put in a number that made it look like I would still be working my full-time job for the full month, but that was not the case. It was not $1,800 that I contributed. It was $48.11 to my 401k. Taxes were also obviously lower. That was $80.88. And then insurance was just half, $58.61. Now, one thing I did have to pay for is to ship my laptop to my previous employer. That cost me $20.40. And honestly, when I got my paycheck, I can't tell if that was included in there. I was expecting my gross income for 3 days of work to be like max $600. So I'm hoping it's in there. I have no clue though. I really, like, when I look at it, I don't see where they squeeze that in, but it's fine. If not, I'm not going to email them. It's $20. It really should have been more, actually, because I was supposed to get a higher amount of insurance coverage, but the USPS, it was just miscommunication. So I only paid $20.40, but luckily I made it safely, so works for me. All right, everything in blue, these are various sinking funds. So gift sinking fund, I did put $75. Car maintenance, I did not do $350, but I was able to do $105.05. Car insurance sinking fund, I did do $115, nothing to beauty, nothing to travel. And then for my emergency fund, nowhere near $2,000, but I was able to save $44.01. That's what my spending looked like. Now we're looking at my annual tracker. We're going to start with my savings. These are all balances that I recorded on the final day of the month after the interest came through in my high yield savings account. So first up would be taxes, money that I set aside to make estimated tax payments. Ended up being $653.88. My emergency fund, $13,806.55. Gifts ended up at $944.24. Travel, $6,067.93. Car maintenance, $3,996.94. Car insurance, I did pull from that the full $697, so some interest came through and bumped it up to $4.58. Insurance savings, so this was previously my beauty sinking fund, but like I said, I took out $600. There was some interest that came through, so now that's at $2,465.34. When I file my taxes next year and I report that I did claim the $346 tax credit per month for my health insurance, I will probably have to pay either all of that back or some of it back, the bulk of it. And if I were to pay all of that back, I would need like $2,700 something. So toward the end of the year, I'll probably add to this, or maybe at the beginning of 2025. But for now, I'm just going to let it sit there and grow some interest, and I should be good to cover that. Now the next 4 sinking funds, so I had a sabbatical sinking fund, house down payment sinking fund, furniture, and like one for investing. I closed all 4 of those. I had talked about this in a recent Transfer Tuesday video, and this was just to simplify things. So that's where I moved all of this money basically to my emergency fund or to my car maintenance sinking fund. So that's all just moved around. And then I do still have my business sinking fund, which I took a little bit from, and that's now at $4,572.74. Altogether, I have $32,512.20 in my high yield savings account. Now for my investments, Roth IRA, I did not add anything to that, but it did increase just because of the market. The balance is now at $35,009.59, or up 3%. Everything here is invested in VTSAX. And then my 401k, as y'all saw, I only added the $48.11 plus my company matched that. The total balance went to $34,567.29, so up 4.1%. And really this is just because of the market. I'm invested in a couple of Vanguard funds here too. In One Invest, you can see I crossed it out because I did close that account and transferred the funds. Everything there was with VTI, but I just moved that over to my brokerage account with Vanguard. So that balance now jumped up quite a bit to $9,073.34. I'm up 4.8% overall between, like, if you added up my two brokerage accounts before to what I have now. So these two numbers compared to what I have now, up 4.8%, which is pretty good. So the bulk of this is invested in VTI, and then like 1,000 something or 2,000 is in VGT. And then Coinbase, this is just some random crypto still chilling in there. That's at $52.05, or up 15.2%. I just ignore that account and check it at the end of the month. One day I'll get rid of it completely, but it's fine. Altogether, $78,702.27 invested, a total of 3.7% of an increase. So let's look at my net worth. Let me say that down here in the yellow section, you will see all of the numbers that I just went over, but I do not count my tax savings in my net worth. I don't calculate the value of my car into here. That's just personal preference, but I do add in what I have in my checking accounts at the end of the month as part of my net worth. So for May, that ended up being about $1,250, and I don't have any liabilities, no debts. So altogether, my net worth was $111,811.03. Lots of 11s in there. So barely an increase, almost $300, but still an increase, which is great. And you can see my 2024 tracker here. So just basically stayed the same. And then if we expand out to see this one, this is all of 2021 through now. So in the past I was in negative, got to zero, and now we're over 111,000. Not a crazy jump, obviously, but I'm glad that it went up, and I hope going forward it will continue to go up. And then final number here would be my credit score or Vantage score. This is a number that I track through Credit Karma, and that jumped up to 815. It just really varies, but for the most part it stays the same. But as of the end of May, last day of May, it was at 815 on Credit Karma. And the final spreadsheet to go over, my goal tracker. I do have this available for purchase on my Etsy shop. There are a couple of things, one thing I crossed out here, and then a couple that I just hid. So you can see that the first one, maxing out my 401k, that's obviously not going to happen this year because I don't have my full-time job, but I still have it here because I added $48.11. So for all of 2024, it's just going to be about $8,600 that I have contributed there, and that's fine. I did adjust my net worth goal. So I had posted a video talking about my updated goals for the year, and instead of $150,000 of a net worth, I'm hoping to get to at least $125,000. So for May, the increase was tiny, $295.59. So I am, 67.9% of the way there, and $13,189 basically away from hitting that. I'm still hoping that I can make at least $100,000 in gross income. So I was definitely on track to do this with my full-time job, but in May it was much lower, $4,073.99. But altogether so far, $55,000 and 55.1% of the way there. So I would need to make about 45,000 gross for the rest of the year, and that could be possible. So I'm still going to aim for that because that would be great. $50,000 or more from my business. I'm definitely on track to do this, but as I was just saying, hopefully it will be more so I can hit a total of 100K for the full year. But in May, I made $2,419.66 so far this year, almost $22,800, and I am $27,200 from hitting this goal. I did update my emergency fund goal. So previously I said I wanted to hit 18,000. Now it's a goal of 15,000. I barely added anything in May altogether with the interest. That was $109.82. So 13,800 altogether. And I am not too far away from this, 1,193. And I'm basically just going to be adding 100 each month to be able to hit this. And then plus the interest that accrues, because like in May the interest was $60 and it should increase every month going forward. And then final goal is to spend less than $50,000. This does exclude savings, investing, business expenses, all of those things. In May I spent a little bit more, $4,564.16, but I am still tracking here for the most part, so 41.5% of the way to this number, to 50,000. And we're not even 50% through the year. So I think I should be good. I have to spend less than $29,257 for the rest of the year. I think I can do that. Whew. All right. I feel like I talked a lot in this video. I definitely need some water, so I apologize if this was super long. I will try my best to trim it up while I edit. But that was my month. I hope y'all had an amazing month of May. Please feel free to comment down below anything exciting that happened for you in May or any major updates related to your finances. I'm really excited for what's to come. I know May wasn't like a great financial month for me, but June's already looking much better, and I am just so excited to have control of my time. Like, that is the most important thing to me right now, and I am so very grateful to be where I'm at. So thank y'all for making this all possible. And of course, thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one.